Hi, I'm Miss Taylor and I'm one of the drama teachers here at Braes High School, and I've got a Braes Byte learning video on how to structure points in essays for Higher Drama Section 1. So we know drama questions break down into two sections. Our first section, Section A, is all about critical analysis. The second section will be about either directing, acting or design. So let's take these two sections separately when we explore how to complete this task. We're going to use this past paper question as a model for our example. As a director, describe in detail 5 key moments that communicate the themes and/or issues in your selected text. You must use textual references from the play to help justify your answer. Explain in detail the ways in which you would use 5 directing concepts to highlight these key moments in your final production. These need to be related to the first part of this question. Let's start with Section A. So the first thing to do is make a list of 5 themes and 5 key moments that highlight those themes in the text that you're studying. If you make your list in the order that events happen in the play, it's much easier to follow. I find this is a really good way to start because it forces you to kind of think about the specific things you want to look at, and also it gets your brain started thinking about what points you want to make. The next thing to do is take each of those points and develop them into a more detailed P card. Now the P cards we use you might be familiar with from English or other subjects. It just stands for point, evidence and analysis. So let's have a look at a little bit more detail about how we can make those P cards really good. Let's take our first example from the table, power, in the scene where Abigail is threatening the girls. Clearly state the key moment you're talking about and the theme that you're highlighting. A key moment that highlights the theme of power is when Abigail threatens the girls into keeping quiet about what they really did in the forest. When completing the point section, it's really important that you make sure you use the words from the question in your answer. This keeps you on track, it makes it really easier for the examiner to mark, and it ensures that you're answering the question asked. This clearly demonstrates you're addressing the question asked by stating a theme and highlighting a key moment where that theme is addressed and highlighted. The next step is to provide textual exemplification from this moment that highlights the theme you've identified. Basically, give us a quotation. Abigail says, "Let either of you breathe a word or the edge of a word about the other things, and I will come to you in the black of some terrible night, and I will bring a pointy reckoning that will shudder you." The final step is to explain how your quotation proves your point. In this case, how it highlights the theme in the key moment you've identified. By intimidating and threatening the girls with violence if they disobey her orders, Abigail shows she is the one in control and highlights her power over the girls. This is a key moment as we see Abigail's true colours, and it becomes clear the lengths she will go to ensure their silence. So now you've got 1 P card. That point, evidence, analysis would get you 1 mark at a higher level. Now there's 2 A marks available, so let's look at that sneaky development mark that's the difficult one to get. Now in order to gain the second A mark available, we need to show further insight or further development of the point we're making. So let's have a go. We're going to use the same structure, point, evidence, analysis. Start by making a point. Now the question asks about a theme that's highlighted in a key moment. So we need to make sure that we stay within a particular kind of 40-second time frame because that's your key moment. So you're looking for another example in that moment that the theme is highlighted or the theme is demonstrated. The theme of power is further highlighted in this moment when Abigail moves to attack Mary Warren after a hysterical outburst. Then provide evidence to prove your point. When Betty collapses, Mary screams, saying it's a sin to conjure, then directions state, "Abigail starts for Mary. I say shut it, Mary Warren." Finally, analyse how the evidence you've provided has further demonstrated the theme of power in this key moment. The theme of power and the control Abigail has over the girls is further shown as it is clear she is not making idle threats but will act on them. She moves to hit Mary Warren into keeping quiet and is only stopped from doing so when interrupted by John Proctor entering the room. This further highlights this as a key moment as we learn more about Abigail, and it foreshadows a confrontation between Abigail and Mary, creating tension and a sense of fear as it is a confrontation we suspect only Abigail has the power to win. Once we made our first two A points, we then need to look at our B points. So we're going to move on to looking at directing, as that's the focus for this question. We're going to use the same structure, point, evidence and analysis, but for this section we're going to provide an explanation of how we would use directorial concepts to highlight this moment for the audience. So let's start by going back to our original notes. Let's have a look at that table again, where we've got our theme, our key moment, and let's add another table. This time you're going to add directorial concept. Use your section 3 booklet to help you choose 5 appropriate directorial concepts to use for the examples you've identified. It's important to try and have variety, but you can use the same concept more than once. Now you've got your directorial concepts chosen, let's have a go at making a P card. Now the first thing you need to make sure you do in that point section is link your section B mark to the section A mark you have just made. So for our example, we need to make sure that our direction is directing the moment Abigail's threatening the girls. That's really, really important. That's why we follow an A-B structure. Keeps you on track and it makes sure that you're directing the moment that you've highlighted in the point above. As a director, to highlight this key moment, I would use character interaction to show Abigail's power over the girls and that she can control them to do what she commands. Now let's move on to evidence. So this is where you really describe what you as a director would tell your actors to do. In this section, it's really important that you're detailed, clear, descriptive, and that you use lots of accurate theatrical terminology. This is really where you show your knowledge, and this is what's going to gain you the marks. To highlight Abigail's power, I would have her turn from Betty's bed, centre stage right, to stand centre stage closer to the other girls, who would, with the exception of Betty lying on the bed, be centre stage left, Mercy, and downstage left, Mary. I would also have Mercy and Mary take a small step backwards and direct Mary to look at her feet, avoiding eye contact, to show she is scared of Abigail. I would have Abigail make direct eye contact with Mercy on breathe a word and slowly begin to walk menacingly towards Mary on or the edge of a word until she arrives in front of her on the line, I will come to you. So this last line is directed at Mary, the weakest link. It would be said with a low pitch and threatening tone, with Abigail up close and speaking in Mary's face. I would direct Mary to wring her hands, hunch her shoulders, and turn her face downstage to show how intimidated she is. As with A marks, the final section, analysis, is to link the evidence to the point you are making. By moving towards the girls and placing Abigail centre stage, she is already in a position of power, as all attention is on her. This would make it clear that she is in charge and that she expects to be obeyed. This key moment is further highlighted through Mary's reactions to Abigail's intimidation. By showing Mary's fear of Abigail and directing Abigail to focus most on Mary, it highlights the significance of this relationship and foreshadows later conflict between the two, highlighting this key moment for the audience. With your B marks, you can be a little bit more flexible in terms of the structure of your evidence analysis. You might find that the two things flow together naturally. That's okay. As long as you make sure you've covered point, evidence and analysis, you're good to go. To ensure you get the full marks available, it's really important that you get that second B mark. So remember, further development, further insight. Let's have a go. Make a further point and give further evidence and analysis showing how character interaction would highlight this moment for the audience. In addition to this, and to highlight the key moment as significant for Abigail's character development, when Abigail starts towards Mary, I would have Abigail turn and rush suddenly towards Mary, grabbing her chin with her upstage hand and pushing her back against the wall on I say shut it. Mercy would use a shocked facial expression, whilst I would direct Mary to gasp and then whimper as she is held. This would demonstrate the physical power of Abigail and highlight the violent side of her character, reminding the audience that if she feels threatened, Abby will lash out and will always look after her herself. This would show the importance of this moment in helping us understand the character. Hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight into how to structure your points and essays. Remember, you've got your Section 3 booklet to help you out, but the most useful resource you can use for this one is your How to Structure Points and Essays sheet. This gives you some key sentences that you can use to scaffold your answers and gives you examples of how to put your points together. So anytime you're preparing for an essay, anytime you're making revision P cards, have this beside you. It's a really good reference and it will really help you get started. Thanks for watching, hope this video was helpful, and make sure you check out all the other family learning videos on our Braze YouTube channel.